I don't have an intro for this video, so instead, I'm just going to ask a question and move on. Ready? Have you heard about the new restaurant called Karma? I hear there is no menu. You just get what you deserve. Okay, now that everyone is riled up by that joke, we can start. Quick note, the footage you'll be seeing on screen as I ramble will be from Solo Legend Node Override Avalon, which means I am locked to be underleveled in an 1830 activity. However, by the end of this, it'll be clear that I'm not locked in here with Brachion, he's locked in here with me. Also, I'll leave a dim link for this build in the description of this video for anyone that wants to try it out. And while you're there, consider subscribing today. Maybe hitting that notification bell, you know, it helps the channel and is appreciated. So, today we're talking about a post-Lightfall Void Titan build, with the changes to the mod system in Lightfall, coupled with the changes in how we can stun champions, and the addition of Season 20's artifact mods. Sentinel Titans have gotten a significant boost in power this season, and likely beyond that as well, because Heart of Inmost Light still exists, and yes, its demise was greatly exaggerated, as we'll be showing it off today. So let's start at the top. How does this build work? Well, it's catered around activating two things. Number one is volatile rounds, something that is incredibly easy to pull off this season, and number two, being controlled demolition in the Sentinel aspect slot. For those not familiar with controlled demolition, it says, hitting a target with a void ability or volatile explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode. Grants you and nearby allies health when volatile targets explode near you. Essentially, what these two things do together is work in synergy to provide AoE nukes in any content that has plenty of add density. Now you probably noticed that Control Demolition mentions void abilities on it as a trigger, so we're going to run with that and push that to an 11. This is where your exotic choice comes in Heart of Inmost Light. Despite getting a significant nerf, this still stands as one of the best exotic armor pieces in the game, in my opinion. For new players that may be confused on what the hell a Hoyle is, here you go. Using an ability, Grenade, Melee, or Barricade empowers the other two abilities. Empowered means abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, and barricades have more hit points. So with that said, Heart of Inmost Light allows us to not only cycle through our abilities and power each of them up through the others, but also provides a faster regen to set abilities. And what happens every time you toss your abilities at an enemy? Well, it creates a small explosion that will probably take out a world in Minecraft. We're not stopping with the 4th of July fireworks there, though. For our fragments in this build, we're using Echo of Starvation, which will allow us to gain Devour once we pick up an Orb of Power, which would be incredibly easy to do with this build. For the other two fragment slots, while technically you could choose to run whatever you like here, I opted to do Echo of Undermining, allowing me to weaken enemies such as champions or even bosses with my grenade. And finally, Echo of Expulsion, because, well, the entire point of this build is to make Michael Bay explosions, so why not add one more into the mix, am I right? For the actual abilities in the grenade and melee slot, again, you could opt to use whatever you'd like, but my personal recommendation would be using Shield Throw for your melee and Vortex Grenade for your grenade respectively. Shield Throw allows you to have a ranged melee attack that can proc Control Demolition and volatile rounds, while Vortex Grenade does great damage. It sucks in groups of enemies that are bunched up together, and is very forgiving with its radius as opposed to something like a Spike Grenade where you have to land it very perfectly to get the job done. Now I'll get the mods and weapons in a second here, but I'd like to explain the gameplay loop first to those that are new to the game or haven't tried Void Titans yet at all. With this build, your objective is quite literally spam your abilities as fast as humanly possible in quick succession. Why do you ask? Because each time you activate an ability, you're empowering the other two. While that is happening, you're also recharging them faster as well. In other words, just spam Barricade plus Melee plus Grenade abilities as much as you can. Additionally, while this is happening, you also have Devour feeding you energy as well. So every single time you get a kill, you heal to full health, and you recharge your grenade even faster at a comically fast rate. For weapons, to be completely honest with you, literally any weapon will work as long as you're rocking Void Affinity. Literally anything. However, it would be criminal for me to not mention the MVPs for this build, which are Void Machine Guns. Commemoration in particular is just silly. In this video, I'm rocking a Subsistence plus Killing Tally Commemoration, and you'll probably notice how I just continuously keep my ammo up forever and rarely ever actually reload unless I'm out of combat or shooting a complex or something like that. You could also try something like Retrofit Escapade or Corrective Measure from Vault of Glass if you don't have Commemoration. However, if you haven't crafted a Commemoration already, I highly suggest you do so if you can. Now let's talk about mods. With Lightfall, Bungie changed the way mods function dramatically, and instead of just spamming a combo of Charge with Light plus Font, you now have to craft into your abilities and weapons instead. In the helmet slot, I opted to choose between Ashes to Assets, Void Siphon, and a Heavy Ammo Finder. To put it in short, Ashes gives you super energy from your grenades, which you will throw a million of just to get your super back faster. Void Siphon will feed you tons of orbs, which will give you energy for your super, and also your weapon charges / volatile rounds. And then finally, heavy ammo finder. I don't think I need to explain this, so let's just move on. For gloves, this is where the magic happens. In this slot, you control your entire build from here, basically. The mods in question are Firepower, Momentum Transfer, and Bolstering Detonation. Again, to put it in short, Firepower is there to feed you orbs for damage and your super, and of course, again, the orbs feed you volatile rounds. It's an insane mod and a must-have in my opinion. Then you have Momentum Transfer and Bolstering Detonation that are there to cycle back your melee and your class ability even faster from you abusing your grenade spam. It is actually busted. Let's move on to the chest, which, by the way, is the Holy Grail. Okay, I'll stop. I'll show myself out. The choice here is pretty simple, though. Whatever hurts the most in an activity, you put resist mods on for that. If you're doing an activity where it's 95% arc shots coming at you, then you put arc resist. If it's void, you put void resist, etc. For the last slot, you can opt to run charged up if you'd like to allow yourself to hold an extra armor charge stack for a longer duration of increased damage, but it's not mandatory at all. Now, speaking of increased damage, your boots. This is pretty straightforward to the point. Whatever weapons you end up running and using match their affinity with a surge for increased damage. So in this case, if you're running Commemoration like I am, you put Void Surges on. You can stack up to 3 copies for maximized damage for, I believe, 22% overall. Finally, the class item. 2 copies of Bomber to once again get your grenades back even faster when you use your Barricade, because you're going to be using that a lot anyway. And you know what? Why not have an 18th way to get your grenades back faster, am I right? Then, in the last slot, the Reaper mod. Now, Reaper by no means is mandatory at all. However, it does provide you a source of gaining another orb power on the ground with a weapon kill after you pop your Barricade, which will happen very often. And then it's a free source of giving you volatile rounds quickly, as well as charging your super. You can replace it with anything you really like, but I think these two are solid choices for this. Finally, one last thing I'd like to mention, the artifact mods. Just to be perfectly clear, this build will work just fine even when Season 20's artifact mods come to an end, but if you are watching this during the Season of Defiance, these 3 artifact mods will make your life much easier. First is Volatile Flow. Remember how I kept mentioning orb generation? Yeah, that applies to this. Pick up an orb, get free volatile rounds for free damage. Very simple, straight to the point. The next mod is Bricks from Beyond. Essentially, you kill a powerful combatant with a void weapon and you have a chance to get heavy ammo from it. It's very, very dumb. It pops ammo all the time and you should have it unlocked, no doubt about it. Finally, the last mod I want to mention is Shattering Orbs. This mod gives you an orb every single time you break a matching affinity shield with your weapon. Every single time. As long as it's not the same enemy multiple times, you will get an orb from it. How stupid is this? Well, let me play this clip and you form your own opinion. Yeah, that's pretty busted, isn't it? Just keep it in mind. That's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoy the build and the video. As always, like, share, subscribe. It does help the channel. Much appreciated. Also, I stream regularly on Twitch. You can find all the info below on all that in the description. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.